Welcome to the Domain Name Wire podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Alleman, and this is episode number 548. One of the fastest growing domain registrars is Dynadot, and it's also very popular with domain investors. On today's show, Dynadot founder Todd Han joins me to talk about some of the new initiatives his company is taking, including a consumer-facing site to attract end users to buy domains, new end-user auctions, and more. I was surprised to learn that Dynadot has about 2 million domain names in its marketplace. You'll learn about how to add your domains during today's show. Todd also talks about his latest thoughts on Web3 and domain names, so stay tuned for that. First, a word from our sponsor. Our sponsor this week is Sav.com and its for sale pages. Are you tired of paying high commissions to sell domains through your landers? Sav.com charges just a 4% commission. If your domains are at Sav, they transfer instantly. If you have them at different registrars, there's a smooth transfer process. It's easy to list and they have fast payouts. In fact, if you sell a lot of domains with Sav, they even offer instant payouts. Learn more and start selling your domains through Sav Landers. Go to sav.com/DNW/sell. That's sav.com/DNW/sell. All right, before we get to this week's news, a couple of things going on at Domain Name Wire to tell you about. First, this month's domain trivia is live. Answer 10 questions correctly, and you'll be entered to win a prize package worth over $1,000. I'll send you $150 via PayPal that you can spend on domains, or frankly, you can use it to go out to eat on me. You'll also get a 1-year pro membership to Domain IQ, where you get access to Who Is History or Verse Who Is and more. A 1-year Domainer membership at NameBio. This month, you'll also get a 1-year Domain Pro membership at GoDaddy, so you can get the discounted domain prices and Domain Academy membership. And of course, you'll get a shout out on Domain Name Wire and X. To enter the contest, go to dnw.com/trivia. There you'll find a Google form. Just answer 10 questions correctly, and you'll be entered to win. Another Domain Name Wire note, if you haven't downloaded the Domain Name Wire app yet, you're missing out on exclusive expired domain lists and more cool features. If you're listening to this podcast on your phone, just head over to the App Store and search for Domain Name Wire, or type dnw.com/Apple or dnw.com/Android into your browser to find the listing. And of course, I'd really appreciate if you do end up downloading the app, if you leave a positive review for me in the app stores. All right, let's talk about some news in the domain business from the past week before we chat with Todd. First up, this week I was reviewing SEC filings when I discovered a domain sale. Spock Holdings, a paging company that I happen to own shares in, reported a $701,000 gain from selling a domain name. While the report did not mention a domain, I used domain tools to see what domains the company has owned, and it quickly became apparent that it was Arch.com that sold. A company that uses Arch.co bought the domain name. Every year, Public Interest Registry, that's the nonprofit behind .org domains, hosts an award ceremony for its .org Impact Awards. It just announced the 35 finalists for this year's awards, and the winners will be announced at a ceremony in Washington, D.C. in October that will be hosted by rapper and actor Common. Congratulations to Identity Digital and Who Is API for making this year's Inc. 5000 list. Identity Digital made the list at number 4,214 with 82% revenue growth between 2021 and 2024. It's the 5th straight year Identity Digital has been on the list. And Who Is API was number 4,271 with 80% growth. Who Is API has been on the list every year since 2017, with the exception of 2020. Email platform Titan has inked a deal with GoDaddy to offer its email services through GoDaddy in emerging markets such as Brazil and India. Titan was founded by DirectEye founder Bhavan Tarakia. The companies ran a 4-month pilot in which GoDaddy saw an increase in email revenue and customer satisfaction. You know, it seems like reverse domain name hijacking decisions are coming almost every day this month. I don't know if it's because complainants are making an unusually high number of bad claims, maybe respondents are asking for these findings more often, or panelists are just considering reverse domain name hijacking whenever they decide that a case doesn't have merit. Check out Domain Name Wire this week for stories about an AI company and a cooking oil business that tried reverse domain name hijacking. There's also a story about a company that tried to reverse hijack munchies.com. Read about these stories and more at domainnamewire.com. Now, let's chat with Todd. My guest this week is Todd Han. He is the CEO and founder of Dynadot. Todd, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it.
So, Todd, you were last on the program. I looked this up. I think it's actually been 5 years. It was in 2020. So, update me on Dynadot in general. How big is it getting?
We've grown quite a bit in the last 5 years. We're up to about 7.5 million domains under management. Employee count is about 170 now. And for me, it's been quite a journey because I do remember, that first order. I was working out of my house back then, and I was like jumping up and down. Back then, it was $8 for .com, and our cost was $6. So there's no ICANN back then. So.
You made your first $2, ignoring all the credit cards and all that sort of stuff. So, and that was back when, remind me?
The company was started in 2002 and the website launched in 2003.
Okay, got it. So obviously a lot of Dynadot customers are domain investors, and you recently launched Name Club. Tell me about Name Club.
Yeah, we've had a marketplace on our site for maybe 18 years or something. And it was kind of just hidden behind a lot of other features because we are primarily a registrar. So the aftermarket has been there, but we haven't really highlighted it. And so Name Club was an effort to just put the marketplace front and center. Okay, yeah. It was facilitated in large part by AI because we wanted to do things like automatic logo generation, automatic descriptions. And we just couldn't do that given the size of our marketplace. We have about 2 million domains in our marketplace. So,
really? Wow.
Yeah. So we just couldn't generate that many logos by hand. But with AI, now we can all of a sudden. So just the timing and do a site that just focuses on the aftermarket.
So these 2 million domains, how are these entered into your system? How are they listed for sale?
From the control panel, we have a sell button on each domain. You just click that and you can list it on our marketplace. You can choose a price. You can choose make offer. And also you can, at the same time, list it on Afternic and Cito. So it's kind of like a very convenient process.
So these are 2 million customer domains that people have opted into selling, basically.
Yes. Well, a portion of those domains are from our partners at Zooming. I would say maybe 500,000.
Okay. So you decided this is kind of back. I'm flabbergasted that you had 2 million names listed for sale. I know you've had ways to list them, but that's surprising. So I think that kind of lends credence to what you were saying. It was kind of hidden behind there that these domains were available. And so you created Name Club and you created it on its own website, nameclub.com. And looking at this, you are looking at kind of some of the branding aspects here, as you mentioned, the logos, the descriptions, that sort of thing. But how are you spreading the word about this to buyers?
We're actually working on that right now. And it is a process to get traffic to the site. We have an SEO team working on it. We're doing a little SEM, like buying ads. And we're going to actually participate in conferences under the Name Club brand. I'm based in San Mateo, which is Silicon Valley, basically. And so almost every month, there's a couple of conferences that we could potentially attend. And so those are some of the ways there.
So basically finding ways to bring end users to this to drive some volume.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So when did you launch Name Club?
I think about 2 months ago. Yeah.
And I think you described it on Twitter as kind of a vibe coding or kind of skunkworks kind of project and that sort of thing. So I'm curious, I know all these domains were available for sale before. Now you've got the separate site. Are you seeing any difference? Are you seeing any more sales velocity in the past couple of months?
So far, no, we've only had a few sales. Yeah. But we just started marketing it. The site gets maybe about 400 visitors per day. So it's still tiny.
But through your other marketplace features where people can list sales, these 2 million names, have those traditionally been selling?
Just through the Dynadot search path.
Okay.
Our original marketplace, they're actually linked together. So if you put a domain on the Dynadot marketplace, it'll show up on Name Club as well. That marketplace is very healthy. We have like 2,000-3,000 sales a month. But it is, I would say it's more like a premium marketplace. I think the average sale price is maybe only $100 or something.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's people listing their domains, but at lower prices for the most part. And it's selling those through the registration path. Got it.
Yeah. And we do have landing pages and, marketplace listings, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. So when I look at this, I just typed in one of the 3-letter domains I found on Name Club into the Dynadot search box and it says view listing, and then it says it's marketplace, and I can check out. So it would be similar to that, I assume, for any domain listed in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And then it would show up in the search path like that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You're also an Afternic and Cedo partner. And so if you have your domains listed on Afternic or Cedo, those will show up in the search path as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We're a direct listing API partner, which means you can list your domains directly from your Dynadot control panel.
Yeah. Okay. And so what you're saying here, and I know we've talked about this before, which is kind of unique, is for the most part, people list their names on Afternic and Cedo by going to Afternic and Cedo and listing them there, and then they get syndicated to places like Dynadot. If you register your domains at Dynadot, you can actually add them to Afternic and Cedo through your account manager at Dynadot, right?
Yeah, that's exactly
through the dashboard. So that's kind of a unique feature that I don't believe a lot. I know you were the first for Afternic, right, to do that?
I believe we were the first.
Okay, yeah. I remember some press coming out about that at the time. So I think Afternic was really happy. So, okay, so if you have your domains at Dynadot, you don't need to separately list them on Name Club. You can just list them through your account dashboard or on the Dynadot marketplace. Do domains to be listed on the Dynadot marketplace, can they be registered anywhere?
Yes, they can be registered at other registrars, but you do have to do some sort of ownership verification.
Okay. Text record or something along those lines.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay. All right. So Name Club, just kind of getting out the door here. You mentioned the landing page is option node 2. And so I know obviously getting some exposure through Dynadot and the marketplace is nice, but remind me what option you have for people that just want to list their domains and then point a for sale lander to them.
So it's all done through the Dynadot control panel, and we have like a sell button. You click on it, you set the price, and there's another box like set name servers, set landing page. And if you choose that checkbox, then we'll update your name servers to use a Dynadot lander. It's a pretty powerful lander because if you choose make offer, there's a whole negotiation system built into it. People can send you offers, you can reply, counter offer, and if you guys come to terms, like the whole process is automated. We'll send them to a payment page, and then you'll get the money in your account. And
what commission do you take?
We charge 10% commission for that.
10% covering the payment and everything. So, okay. And then you've also recently launched user auctions in which customers can list their domains for sale. I think you've held one auction in July for that. Tell me about the idea behind this. What's the goal? What was the impetus for this?
That was really driven by customer requests. We have quite a few domain investors on our platform. There's one customer in particular. He's a big TV investor. He wanted us to help him sell some of his inventory. And we just had lots of requests like that over the years. And because we already have an auction platform with tons and tons of bidders on it, we decided to launch like a monthly premium auction. And we did our first one, I think it was June, had a 6% sell-through rate, which is okay, but we want to improve that for the next round. Yeah.
And I know there was a deadline earlier in August. So, another one start here in August. We say monthly. Is it actually monthly or?
The plan is to make it monthly, but so far we've taken more than a month.
And so I think that gets back to that 6% sell-through rate the first time. I think that you look at some auctions where users submit domains and you tend to see people maybe with too high of expectation and that sort of thing. It's got to be hard. I think all companies that screen listings, Cito does this for great domains and that sort of thing. There's got to be a lot of crap that's submitted, and it's got to be hard to select the ones that are actually winners. I mean, is it a lot of effort?
Yes, we got 2,000 domains submitted for the first auction. And as you can imagine, there were all kinds of requested start prices. So we had to push back on some of the domains to get it to a place where, there would be interest from the bidders. It is a lot of work, and I think that's part of the reason, we skipped a month. But we're planning to automate some more of that in the control panel. So
sure. And one thing I do like about it is there are no hidden reserves. So the domains start at their reserve price. So you're not bidding on a name and then, you're nowhere near the reserve. Another interesting thing you guys are doing here, at least in the first one, was that you charged a bid deposit to prevent non-paying bidders. And that was 5% or $100, whichever was higher. What was the thinking there? Because I don't believe you guys do that in other auctions. Is that right?
You're right. For our expired auctions, it's a lot lower. It's only like a $5 previous order. For this one, we just wanted to increase the integrity of the auction.
I guess especially when you have users selling their inventory, there's more opportunity for some gaming, getting people to bid and that sort of thing, as opposed to, say, expired domain auctions where they don't win from that, right? Because they're buying from the house, if you will.
Yeah, there's no incentive to game it, right?
Right. And sellers here have a 15% commission on sales. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. And we try to provide a lot of value. We sent out multiple newsletters. We have it on our homepage. We tell our account managers, we have account management teams, and they have a newsletter that we send out to some of the bigger customers. So we really try to promote the domains to provide that value for the 15%.
And so, in the first one, obviously a couple thousand names isn't a whole lot to choose from. But the thinking here is that as you get better quality, then those sell-through rates can push up significantly over time.
Yeah. That's the hope. I think, there's a little bit of chicken and egg problem with any new service. And so
people need to trust that they're going to get good values for their domains to list them, and they want to see that. And then, and so they call it. But, you have the Dynadot name behind it. You have all that promotion, and you get to start the price at your reserve, right? Well, you can set the price wherever you want, so long as Dynadot reviewers are like, hey, this might sell.
You can set your price, but if you set it too high, then
sure,
we may not choose that domain.
Sure, but it's not like you have to set it at $1 with no reserve, and it might not sell for anything.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I think over time, as it becomes more established, I think people will trust the process more, and they may, set a lower starting price because they know that generate enough interest. And we do have a huge installed bidder base just because we've had auctions for 20 years now. And so a lot of bidders, a lot of investors. And, most of the people that participate in auctions are domain investors, and we just have a very large investor base.
Yeah. So speaking of auctions, I know your primary auctions, your busiest ones certainly are the expired domain auctions. In fact, as we speak today, there's a pretty hot one for stayhome.com, which is up to $45,000. We're recording this on Wednesday, August 13th. Tell me, I know that you have inventory. If a domain at Dynadot, if one of those 7.5 million domains expires, they go through this expired domain auction marketplace or auctions. Do you also still have inventory from other registrars that come through here?
Yeah. Probably the most well-known one is Portman, but we have maybe 3 other ones. They're mostly domain resellers. And actually, interestingly, one partner is domain investor, and they got their cred. They just send it through our network.
Interesting. So basically a way to monetize when you're letting a domain go.
Yeah. And they have 500,000 domains under management. So, it does add up.
Sure. And so basically the way that works is if someone bids on and wins the domain at Dynadot, the domain then is transferred to Dynadot and their account at Dynadot. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
And then your partners get a cut, basically.
Yeah, it's a pretty favorable cut. If any large investors out there want to do something similar, we're happy to work with them.
So they'd have to have their own accreditation?
Yeah, own accreditation. I think it costs $5,000 a year to get a credit, something like that.
Yeah, it's not too much. I think the higher costs are the infrastructure, the one-time setup, and then depending on how you go about that. So I know there are companies out there that actually specialize in helping you. Logic Boxes being one that can help you get set up as your own customer, or as your own accreditation. So I'm just looking through the list here. There's one actually after this airs. It'll still be going on because it has 13 more days. Hived.com is up to about $2,000 with 73 bids. Got some 4letter.coms in here that are going, and then of course, some shorter non-coms and good 2 words as well. So in addition to this direct inventory, do you also do total drop catching, like when it goes through pending delete, or is this only direct expired domains?
We do have like a drop catch backorder service, but we only have maybe 20 ICANN accreditations for that. So we can't really compete with like dropcatch.com or Gname or stat names. It's more for maybe less competitive names. I would say what most people use it for. I think it's cheaper than those other services. I think we only charge like maybe $20 or something like that. But I wouldn't use it for something really highly competitive.
Sure. So for non-competitive ones, you might do it at Dropcatch and at Dynadot. And then if you get it at Dynadot, it might be a little bit less expensive. So, okay. So we talked about expired. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, you mentioned a large domain investor partner that has their own accreditation listing through expired domains. Does Dynadot also have like a reseller program? And if so, is that geared only toward those like hosting companies and such, or could I use that as a large domain investor?
Yeah, we launched a reseller program maybe 3 years ago. And we initially targeted hosting companies like B2B. But it does turn out that quite a few of our users are investors. They like the fact that we can use their cred to make the registrations. And then we charge, about 20 cents per transaction just to, process their registrations. And so all those could, go through auction as well. Since it's your own cred, you would make that rev share as well.
So I want to make sure I understand here. So if I get my own accreditation, I could use your tech stack basically for processing the orders and such. I'm paying VeriSign or whomever those fees. I'm paying the ICANN fees, and then I just pay you kind of a per transaction fee there.
Yeah, and it's quite a low fee. You would have a direct relationship with VeriSign. You would pay them the monthly invoice. You would have a direct relationship with ICANN. You'd pay them the 20 cents per domain, etc. But the benefit of this whole system is it does go through the expired auctions, and we'll share that with you.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure I understand that. I'm just trying to think what other tech I might need in that. If I'm using your reseller program, would I need to build any other technology, or is it kind of out of the box here?
Our API is published on our site. If you just search for Dynadot API, it's a JSON RESTful API. So it's very, very standard. And probably the main call you would use is just register and renew those 2 calls. You can actually still manage it through Dynadot because it's all visible through the account system.
So if I were a reseller, I had my own accreditations, I could literally just use the Dynadot backend to do that.
Yeah, you don't even have to use our API. You could just use the backend.
Okay. So, and obviously, there is a lot of overhead we're talking about here, being your own registrar. And so, this isn't something someone would do with just a few thousand names, right? This is hundreds of thousands of names where it becomes more beneficial.
I think before our reseller platform, I would say 100,000 names. But if you use our system, it could potentially make sense with 10,000, I would say.
Okay, just like cost savings kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because API is very easy, or you don't even have to use the API. You just have to kind of amortize the the yearly ICANN fee, and then your time dealing with those invoices.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about Web3 because we've talked about it before, you and I, and a little while back on Twitter, you said, hey, would people want to tokenize domain names? Is this something they're interested in doing? I think the impetus for this is companies like D3, of course, are signing up domain name registrars, offering them to tokenize domain names, and they've posited some benefits there. Ionos is probably the largest registrar recently to get on board with this, although they haven't implemented it yet. We're looking maybe December at the earliest, I think, with them. What's your current take on this idea?
I've actually thought a lot about tokenizing domains. And I think I realized that it's basically another ownership system that runs in parallel to the registrar account system. So now ownership is in two places. One is just traditionally the registrar account. And then the second place is on the blockchain. And if you have two ownership systems, you have to keep them in sync. You can't have the domain in the registrar account, but then the blockchain says someone else owns it. That would be a disaster. You can only have one owner. And so, we looked into like how to do this on our systems, and basically, every time a domain changes ownership, we have to do some API calls to update the blockchain. And then vice versa. If the blockchain, if someone pushes it to a new wallet, we'd have to implement some callbacks and update our registrar accounts as well. So it's actually quite a bit of work. And anytime there's a complex system, there's always going to be like edge cases that are not handled. So there would be some debugging process. So that's the cost to us as a registrar to implement like tokenizing of domains. And then the other side I was thinking about was like, what's the benefit? Like, what do you get as a domain owner if your domain is tokenized? True, it is in your wallet. And so you can see it alongside your whatever Bitcoin or USDC. On the flip side of that, though, you still kind of need a registrar account to do the renewals. So it breaks the abstraction. Like it can't be like a pure blockchain entity. There still needs to be like a registrar account somewhere that you interact with. And then I guess the other benefit is you can sell the domain on the NFT marketplaces, for example, OpenSea.io. In general, the more exposure you give to a domain, the better. So I guess that's the other benefit.
I mean, that would seem to be kind of what you've mentioned, that would seem like to be the bigger potential one, right? Which is everyone wants liquidity. They want to sell their domains. And so I guess if you open up crypto enthusiasts to domain names, I mean, there are already obviously a lot of crossover between the two, but getting it listed on those, and I know the NFT market has changed a lot to the negative over the past few years. So I don't know how much activity there is on OpenSea now compared to previously. Certainly getting that exposure there, but just reading between the lines here, and it sounds like a lot of work for you, some dev costs there. So you'd want to make sure that there's some sort of benefit. It would have to be a benefit to your customers that would then pass through somehow to your bottom line as well, I assume, because of the costs associated with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think for D3 at least, they were going to build like some sort of system where we could get a share of the commissions the NFT sale. We didn't say no to anyone. We're just kind of still evaluating. And, a lot of these companies, they offer to pay our dev costs. So we haven't closed the door on it. Maybe it's not our highest priority.
Sure. So kind of still wait and see mode. I mean, certainly if some registrars start doing it and they start seeing great benefits, like people moving to them or extra revenue streams, that sort of thing, that could be compelling at that point.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, I talked to a lot of other registrar CEOs, and like we all have the same problem. We don't have enough engineers. Yeah, it helps. I think I would say maybe 30% of our code is now generated by AI. But because of hallucinations and because of the size of our code base, we do still someone has to read all that code before we'll commit it into our repository. It's not like we can just randomly code stuff very quickly. It's still a lot of work.
So finally, before we close here, I just want to ask kind of what you're seeing in the market for various top-level domain names, whether those are ccTLDs or other. How many ccTLDs do you guys have now on Dynadot?
ccTLDs, we support maybe, I want to say like 80 or something. Yeah, don't quote me on that though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Overall, though, you have what, like 500 top-level domains, would you say?
Yeah, we have 500.
500, okay.
Yeah.
So ccTLDs being a segment of that. I'm curious across all top-level domains, whether they're, com.org, that sort of thing, new top-level domains, ccTLDs. Are you seeing any trends lately in registrations?
Yeah, I mean, ccTLDs have been a big focus for us the last couple of years. There was a report that came out that I think we're amongst the mainstream registrars where we have the most ccTLD or TLD coverage, I guess, 500. But as far as trends, I'm still not sure why it's happening, but we're seeing a tremendous amount of CC and CO registration.
.co, really? Okay. I felt like, it had a second wind a few years ago, but then it seemed like it died off.
Yeah, I think it's our number 3.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Now .co is often, discounted for the first year and that sort of thing. So I'm just trying to think here. I'm just typing one in. Well, right now it's still $10.33. It's not like a few bucks. And then .cc, I mean, that surprises me too, right? Like I know some people register them, but I do see they are on sale right now and that sort of thing. But I'm surprised by that as well.
Yeah, I was in China like maybe a couple of years ago, and I was talking to an investor there, and he brought up CC, and he said he buys CC, and I asked him why, and he said it's easy to type.
It's a repeat letter, and I guess if I'm just kind of curious here, I'm looking at name bio to see if there's any aftermarket activity in it. So speaking of the Chinese market, lots of short digit domains, and here's one with X, and that's where, in fact, a lot of these are selling on your aftermarket.
Yeah.
Just looking the past few days, 7vx.cc, c273.cc, let's see, those two are on your marketplace on Dynadot, but even at other places as well, they're selling. Those are names that kind of, I think we associate with China, right? The very short. And then I guess that also makes sense for that. It's easy to type, right? Just having the .cc, it's just the same letter to type and such. So that's interesting though, for sure. So
yeah, we have a pretty big Chinese customer base. I think we were one of the early registrars to support Alipay. We translated our site to Chinese probably like 10 years ago. So we do have a good base there. We're seeing our revenue from Alipay go up pretty much every month for the last couple of years. So I think they're starting to come back. Like they had a huge bubble in 2018 that burst and the whole market just kind of collapsed in China. I get the feeling they're coming back now just based on our Alipay revenue.
Well, and VeriSign has said that their sales in China have gone up starting this year, whereas they had a really tough past couple of years. So they're starting to see some uplift there too. So that seems to jive with that as well. So interesting. All right, CC. I'll have to look more into that because I'm surprised. No, I'm seeing, I'm not seeing huge sales right on the aftermarket, but they're, here's a 4-digit domain that sold for over $1,000. Here's a one word that sold for $2,700 at Cedo, that sort of thing. So that surprises me, but that's why we talk about these things, kind of what sort of trends. So awesome. And then I did want to mention, I know that you guys have a transfer promo going on this month. If you use coupon code SUMMERCOM25, you can transfer your .com domains to Dynadot for $10.49. And remind me to list in the user auctions, they have to be at Dynadot, but to list on the marketplace, they do not. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Correct. Awesome. Well, Todd, it's always great to connect. I know Dynadot is really, really popular amongst Domain Name Wire podcast listeners and readers. So thanks for coming on today and giving us an update.
It's my pleasure. And thanks for having me. And it's always nice to chat.
All right. My guest this week has been Todd Han. He is the CEO and founder of Dynadot. That's a wrap on this week's Domain Name Wire podcast. You can listen to all previous episodes at dnw.com/podcast or on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening.